Hey guys, Marsinkin here, bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so the other day we did a worldwide speculation video about the possibility of a movies theme, which is something that people have talked quite a lot about. It was a good video, talked about some ideas, a couple of people having some ideas in the comments. We talked about it in a later stream as well. Definitely a lot of things that could be very interesting about a movies themed worldwide celebration. But of course, the other theme that has been bandied around quite a lot that people would like to see is GT. GT hasn't been the focus of a major celebration for quite some time now. Obviously, Tanabata for last year was Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku and then LR Omega Shenron. And we did get the GT Duo as part of the 8th anniversary. But out of the 4 units that were released, they obviously were the only actual GT unit. It wasn't really a GT theme. So GT hasn't been the focus of a celebration for quite some time, and the worldwide celebration is a great opportunity for some of these categories, especially the villains, right, with GT bosses, to get some buffs. What with the fact that we get 4 LRs, 2 Dokkan Fests, 2 Carnivals. Of course, we have no idea yet this year whether Dokkan is going to do what they did with last year's one and have both the Dokkan Fests in part 1 and the Carnivals in part 2, or go back to the original Worldwide Celebration Carnival banner release, and obviously what they've just done with the 9th anniversary, where we have a Dokkan Fest and a Carnival in part 1 and then the same again in part 2. We still don't know, but we know we're going to get 4 LRs. GT has a lot of possibilities left open. There are still a lot of characters that could get decent LRs, be they Dokkan Fest or Carnival, and a lot of characters that still need easy A's. So we're going to jump in and talk about this, speculate a little bit about what we could see. Do let me know your ideas down below in the comment section. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are on the road to 30k subscribers. We are halfway between 28 and 29. So with the worldwide celebration coming up soon, 30k by the end of the worldwide is a pretty realistic big goal that we've set for the channel. So if you are new around these parts, do subscribe, join the Discord, be part of the community, and yeah, we'll go ahead and jump in. So I think the main thing that people would like to see if we get a GT themed celebration for the worldwide, especially because it's one of these few opportunities we get to get a, you know, big villain card release, is a new baby. And the thing is, Super Baby 1, I think that could transform into Super Baby 2 is probably one of the strongest options. We don't really have any Super Baby 1, like actual cards in the game, like summonable cards, other than, I think this guy's a free-to-play farmable card. Oh no, this is the TUR of the LR. I think there is a farmable Super Baby 1 as well, but like there isn't just a summonable standalone, like, TUR, because this guy's the TUR of LR Baby, just obviously not good to use on his own as a TUR. So a Super Baby 1 would be cool, that transforms into Super Baby 2, because the funny thing is we don't actually have a standalone Super Baby 2. We've got the Int one is Super Baby 2 Giant Ape, because he can transform into the Golden Azaru, and the LR is also Super Baby 2 Giant Ape, whereas if we take a look at the GT Link, we don't actually have a Super Baby 2 on his own, so he would be a uniquely named character, which would then obviously open up the possibility for like this guy to get an easy A and not conflict with the new unit at all. So Super Baby 1 that transforms into Super Baby 2, or just a straight up Super Baby 2, would be very, very good, because even without having the Giant Ape transformation, like you look at the categories that he's on, right? Transformation Boost, Artificial Life Forms, Terrifying Conquerors, Target Goku, Revenge, Inhuman Deeds, Space Traveling Warriors. Corroded Body and Mind is a category that definitely needs some buffs, and GT bosses. But characters like Revenge and Inhuman Deeds like don't even really have proper full like leaders. So Revenge having a 170 lead, which is an extreme character, I think could definitely be very cool. So Baby, especially as the Dokkan Fest for the celebration, would be really, really good. That's what I would love to see for part 1, just like last year with Zamasu being the Dokkan Fest exclusive. Have Baby as the Dokkan Fest for part 1, and then the super type character being a Carnival LR, and then villains could get a huge buff, because this guy obviously has weird links like Coward and Hatred of Saiyans, but he has Thirst for Conquest, he has Metamorphosis. Obviously the Dokkan Fest version would have Fierce Battle and would of course have Legendary Power because he's an LR. Because obviously the Super Saiyan, he does have big bad bosses actually, Super Baby 2. So as long as he is Super Baby 1 that transforms, or I guess maybe even if they did a proper standalone Super Baby 1, would they still give him big bad bosses, or would he have to be 2? I mean, ideally he'd be one that transforms into 2 or just 2 on his own anyway. So of course he'd have big bad bosses as well. He's not going to have Saiyan Raw unless he is transforming into the Great Ape, which they could, I guess, give him an active skill where he transforms into the Great Ape just for 1 turn, or even as a standby or something, because then with the way Dokkan works, that would let him be on the Giant Ape Power category as well. And they could potentially throw Saiyan Raw on as a link, but that's not important because for villain teams, you know, we don't really need Saiyan Raw. But a new baby to head off part 1 of a GT celebration, I think would be very good. And of course, that would lead to his counterpart for the celebration, most likely being a Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku, I think, that transforms into Super Saiyan 4. Because we don't have the first Super Saiyan 4 transformation in the game, which I think is crazy. Like, the game, if you think about the JP timeline, like, the game is 9.5 years old at this point, and we don't have, even with all the Super Saiyan 4s we have in the game, including the non-canon Heroes ones, we don't have the original Super Saiyan 4 transformation as an animation in the game. So that would be very cool. So we could either start off as just a Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku, or we could have the Super Saiyan 3 GT Giant Ape, or he could just have a standby or an active skill where he transforms into a Giant Ape. I think something like a standby where he transforms into the Golden Azaru for like a turn, and then afterwards he has the active skill that then he transforms into Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think would be really cool. And of course that opens up this guy, and of course this guy himself as well, potentially getting easy A's. So I think for the start, like headlining the celebration, that would be really, really good. So baby, ideally Super Baby that transforms into Super Baby 2, and then a Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku that transforms into Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I feel like that would be a really good and hype, like, worldwide celebration, especially if the units are good enough, right? Because baby, super good buff for a lot of extreme teams, as well as potentially a new staple, like, extreme character leader. And then, of course, Goku, if they make him the Carnival LR, like, think of all the teams that he's on. Like, I don't know if they would go all out and give Goku family a 200% lead, but even things like Giant 8 Power, GT Heroes, Accelerated Battle, Battle of Fate, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, like there's a lot of teams that he could make a 200% lead for that would be really, really good. So I think Goku being the Carnival LR in part 1 would make a lot of sense if they do it that way. Of course, they could do both the part 1 LRs or the Dokkan Fest like they did last year, and then this guy, of course, still has a very good combo of leader skills that he could have. Like imagine like Giant 8 Power as a 170, throw in like Battle of Fate, and then throw in like GT Heroes, and then have Power Beyond Super Saiyan as one of the plus 30s, which would include a ton of characters. All the Super Saiyan 4s, all the GT Heroes that are Super Saiyan 2 or higher, Battle of Fate characters that are Super Saiyan 2 or higher, so all the blue, like Vegetos and stuff would all be on there. And that would be a really good leader skill. So, and then, of course, we get to part 2. Now, whilst I think they could throw in some easy A's here and there, like the Tech Super 17 LR, Super 17 is a very, very short arc, doesn't really, you know, hold much stead of carrying part of a celebration. And I know Shadow Dragon Saga is something that is kind of overplayed at this point. Like, this is why we need the baby saga stuff. But for part 2, I don't think there's a lot else that could carry, like, part 2 of the worldwide celebration. So, personally, I would like to see Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Ideally, we could get, like, a GT Vegeta that starts in base and then transforms into 4. I mean, Dokkan could do a Dokkan original type thing and have, if Goku in part 1 is going to be a Super Saiyan 3 that transforms into Super Saiyan 4, have a Super Saiyan 3 GT Vegeta that transforms into Super Saiyan 4. Because we have Super Saiyan 3 GT Vegetas in the game, and they're not a hero-specific thing, so there's no reason why they couldn't do that. I don't think they will. If we do get a transforming one, I think it will be base, or it could be Super Saiyan. But I don't think we'd get a Super Saiyan 3 one. But it's certainly something they could do. And then both units would be a buff to the Super Saiyan 3 team, which would be quite nice. But yeah, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I think would be very cool. Shout out to the boy Prof. It's an idea that he mentioned ages ago, which I think is cool. It'd be nice to get a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta that has a Dokkan original thing where he transforms into full power Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, because of course Vegeta doesn't do that in the anime. Only Goku gets the full power Super Saiyan 4 power up. So that would be kind of cool as a Dokkan original. That would be really nice to see with a cool animation. You could have like Goku down on the ground or something, and him like, you know, everyone else give me your energy, I'll take over kind of thing, and then he goes to full power. That'd be sweet. But yeah, new Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta would definitely be very cool. It's been a while since we've had one, because of course we did get the Goku for Tanabata last year, but we've not had a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta since the Limit Breaker one for Heroes, really. So that would definitely be very nice. And then of course the part 2 LR, we already have an LR Omega Shenron, But I think it definitely is time we get a Sin Shenron that transforms into Omega Shenron. Because this would be a massive buff for the GT Bosses team. Obviously would link super well with the LR Omega, and then once it transformed, they would still link. So I think Sin that transforms into Omega would be really, really good. And when it comes to like the part 2, obviously, like, again, if we're going to do, whether they do Carnival or Dokkan Fest split, both of these guys could have interesting teams. Omega already has a Carnival LR, so if they are going to do the Dokkan and Carnival split, Omega, it would make sense for Omega to be the Dokkan Fest, I guess, rather than being another Carnival LR. And of course, teams like, he's not on a ton of teams, which is the problem. Shadow Dragon Saga, I guess as long as he transforms into Omega, he does have full power and transformation boost. Inhuman Deeds. So, I mean, he could be an Inhuman Deeds 170 leader, full power. I don't necessarily feel like every Omega has to have Shadow Dragons as part of the leader skill, but we want to try and get as many characters on there as possible. So he could have like Power Absorption, Inhuman Deeds, Shadow Dragon Saga, and then like GT Bosses as the plus 30. Because I think Super 17 is on Power Absorption. Some of the other characters would be on Inhuman Deeds. Like, that could be a decent lead for him. And then, of course, if Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was the Carnival LR, we got a couple of interesting teams that he's on. Saviors is an interesting one that he's on. Giant 8 Power, of course, 200% lead would be cool. Miraculous Awakening, Gifted Warriors. GT Heroes, I think, could still go. I mean, we got 2 Superheroes leaders as part of the anniversary, including the Gammas being a 200% lead. So he absolutely could be a GT Heroes 200% lead. Battle of Fate, 200% would be a really good team as well. So that's what I would like to see from like the main part of a GT celebration, is a Super Baby, ideally one that transforms into 2, and then a Super Saiyan 3 Goku that transforms into Super Saiyan 4, and then part 2, some kind of new Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and then a Sin Shenron that transforms into Omega. And of course, with GT, I mentioned at the beginning, we have a lot of options for EZAs. One of the other things I did actually see is, of course, we have to think about the fact that last year we ended up getting 3 superclass units. So maybe that we get Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and instead of getting an extreme character, there is the possibility of a Marjube, I think, could be an interesting unit. We have the LR already from Battlefield Shop that transforms from Oob into Marjube. So I think we could just get like a standalone LR Marjube as a Carnival LR. He's on teams like Bond of Master and Disciple, Saviors, Connected Hope, GT Heroes that could still get these good 200% teams. But of course, I would like Extreme to get more buffs, right? Because ideally, if we get an Omega that transforms, because he's on teams like Transformation Boost, Inhuman Deeds, Full Power, like as long as his passive isn't completely reliant on GT bosses, he could be good on other teams as well. So I'd much prefer that to a Marju, but that definitely is a possibility. And then, of course, as I did say at the beginning, when we think about EZAs, we've got characters like the Physical Pan that came out at the same time as that Super Saiyan 3 GT Great Ape Goku. There's also the STR Trunks. These guys came out for the 2nd anniversary. So these guys are 7 years old and they don't have an EZA, which is insane. Because we've had so many GT celebrations since EZAs were a thing and these guys came out. So I don't know why they haven't done them yet. There's also Rildo, would be a really good EZA for the GT Bosses team. He's a GT Bosses support unit. He has big bad bosses, so he would be a really good EZA for this celebration as well. There's also random units like the Nova Shenron. He's a weird unit because he's super type. But him getting an EZA could be kind of useful for some of these teams as well. And then something I would really like to see is we often get these like surprise EZAs at the end of the celebrations, right? Like, you know, for the anniversary for JP at least, because it came to Global early, when we got the surprise Vegito and Bootank's EZAs. One way that would be a real good ending of a worldwide celebration that's GT themed to end it off with a bang would be EZAing these guys, the GT Super Saiyans that came out for Golden Week 2021, because these guys are over 3 years old now, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that they get an EZA, and this would be like a big ticket EZA to end off the celebration with if these guys got their Extreme Z Awakenings, because these guys could be really, really good. They were super good on release, like arguably they just were the best 2 TURs in the game when they came out. Now the one weakness for them is that their active skill was always kind of mid because they are nuking style units. So of course when you do their active skill you haven't picked up many orbs, they don't do a lot of damage. But we've already seen they can fix issues like that with the way they do the passives after the active skill, because the 6-year LRs for the UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta, they also had pretty underwhelming active skills, but then they added in with their EZA a bunch of buffs into their passive. So these guys, when they get their EZA, could literally have a thing that's like, you know, attack plus 150% and attacks guaranteed to crit when activating the active skill. And then that gives them a massive buff and, of course, a guaranteed crit on the active skill, so they would actually do damage. But yeah, these guys with EZAs could be really, really good, especially like on the Super Saiyans team with the Tech Vegeta. Like, yeah, I would love to see these guys get an EZA as part of a GT celebration. And of course, there's one really interesting big Super EZA that could be really good as well, which is the STR Omega Shenron. Because this guy with a Super EZA could be really, really good. He debuffs all the enemies, and that is useful in some events now. He's a full power support, so if we do get a transforming Omega Shenron, he'd obviously be supporting him, as well as the LR that we already have. They could also throw on like an extra buff, because he does give 2 key attack 40% currently, so they could either make that attack and defense, or they could do something like give him GT bosses 2 key and defense 40%. So then obviously if the unit is on both, they're getting 4 key and 40% attack and defense. That would be cool. So this guy getting a Super EZA I think could be really, really good. We don't have an STR Super EZA yet. We're still waiting for an STR and an INT Super EZA character. So I think that could be very, very good. So when we look at GT, there's a lot of stuff that we could potentially see, a lot of other EZAs, like if we talk about banner units, things like a different form of Baby. We already have this guy whose name is just Baby. There's also, I think he's only a World Tournament card that doesn't have an Awakening yet, but there is the Baby Youth form. So they could give this guy like a side banner unit, make him like a really, really good support character. Or obviously if we are getting like Vegeta and Goku as the super class characters, a character like Marju could be a good side banner unit. Obviously there's a whole bunch of the other like GT based characters. We could get a new Pan as a side banner character, a new Bulla potentially, as there's only one in the game, even a new GT Trunks. There's quite a few of them that still need EZAs as well. So there's definitely a lot of things that they could do with a GT themed celebration. So let me know what you guys think down below. We've only covered even just some of the units, but you think about events, we could get a Supreme Battle Spectacle, because we've already got the GT like bosses red zone. They could add a boss rush to that, like they did with the movie bosses one for the anniversary, and then of course we could get a completely separate Supreme Battle Spectacle with GT, where we end up fighting all of the different GT characters, which of course could end with the new hardest fight in the game being a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. That would be awesome. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below about a GT themed worldwide celebration. Who would you like to see? Who would you like to see as the 4 LRs? Who are the Dokkan Fest? Who are the Carnivals? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out all the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.